Hey guys, what's going on here? Counterspell Hater back with another EDH guide. We're taking yet another electrifying look at some of the Kamiga Neon Dynasty commander stuff. So last episode we looked at Shishiro. I have no idea how to pronounce his first name. The Shattered Blade. Shishiro, the Shattered Blade. Probably butchering that. So go check out that video. It's getting a steady amount of views. And also go check out Katori, the commander I did before that. And that's also getting a steady amount of views. And also thank you to my 17th subscriber. Welcome to the team. And if you want to be welcome to the team of people who hate counterspells, but not really, then just subscribe. And so today we're looking at the kind of alternative commander towards Shishiro, the Shattered Blade, which is, as you can see here, Kaima, the Fractured Calm. For 2 generic, a red and a green, is a legendary spirit. 3/3. At the beginning of your end step, goad each creature your opponents control that's enchanted by an aura you control, and then put a +1/+1 count on Kaima, the Fractured Calm for each creature goaded this way. So how good it works is until your next turn, the goaded creatures attack each combat if able, and attack a player other than you if able. So this deck is all about powering up our opponent's creatures and sending them in a direction that isn't in our way. So just having our opponents tear up each other, and as that goes on, Kaima, the Fractured Calm here, gets bigger and bigger, and then suddenly, oh, last player left alive, and they're just dead. So yeah, so this is the alternative commander to the original commander. So like I said, go check out that video. It's the video that came before this, obviously. Shishiro. Anyways, let's get on to it. For Umbra, for 2 generic and a green, it's aura. Enchanted creature gets +3/+3 and totem armor, meaning if enchanted creature would be destroyed, instead remove all damage from it and destroy this aura. So that means that if we want a creature on our opponent's side to live and to not attack us, but tear out our other opponents, then Boar Umbra here can kind of guarantee that, and then we enchant that creature with another aura once this one has been destroyed due to totem armor's trigger. Anyways, next we have Aspect of Mongoose. 1 generic and a green for an aura that gives the enchanted creature hexproof, essentially. No, Shroud, because it can't be this target of spells or abilities. And when Aspect of Mongoose is put into a graveyard from play, you return it to its owner's hand, so that way you can target another creature with it. Shifting Shadow, a great one. 2 generic and a red for an aura that gives the enchanted creature haste, and at the beginning of your upkeep, destroy this creature, reveal a card from the top of your library until you reveal a creature card, put that card onto the battlefield, and attach Shifting Shadow to it, and put all the other cards revealed this way on the bottom of your library in a random order. So our opponents are going to be going through creatures, and since they're forced to attack, and since they have haste, that doesn't help them any really either. I mean, the enchanted creature could die, yes, but at the same time, it's kind of like recycling creatures, and also this is a great way in this deck that utilizes enchantments to like get rid of creatures that you don't want on your opponent's side, yet to still have like sort of value. And this is kind of one. You know what I'm saying? Volcanic Strength, 1 generic and red for an aura that gives an enchanted creature +2/+2 in Mountain Walk, meaning that the enchanted creature is unblockable as long as defending player controls a mountain. And you won't be the defending player most likely because of the goad trigger. Impending Doom, 2 generic and red for an aura that requires the enchanted creature to attack each combat if able, but also gives it +3/+3. But when the enchanted creature dies, Impending Doom also deals 3 damage to that creature's controller. Eldrazi Conscription, 8 generic for a tribal enchantment, Eldrazi Aura, that gives the enchanted creature +10/+10 and trample and annihilator 2, meaning whenever it attacks, the defending player sacrifices 2 permanents. So say you have like a good board state, like some big creatures, but you don't want to really attack into your opponents or like really attack into anyone, like you gotta defend, you know what I'm saying? Just swing this over onto someone else's big old creature. And suddenly you've essentially got a weapon of your own, and this allows you to stay back on the defense if need be. Because there's always probably gonna be some stragglers that aren't enchanted. But anyways, and this is also forcing like one of your opponent, like the defending players, who are unfortunate enough to get attacked, to have to sacrifice 2 permanents and probably also a lot of cheap old jump blockers, because trample and +10/+10 on top of whatever may already be there, that's kind of hard to block. Boone Sager. So 1 generic and double green for an enchantment creature Satyr. Flash, meaning this can be played at any time. 4/2 Bestow. For 3 generic and double green, you can play this as an aura, as an aura spell with an enchanted creature, and becomes a creature again if it's not attached to a creature. An enchanted creature gets +4/+2. So this works either 2 ways. One, when the enchanted creature dies, but on your opponent's board state, so it's enchanted by Boone Sager, either A, it goes onto your opponent's board state, in which case that's another creature that you can enchant, or B, most likely, I believe, it goes onto your board state, which is kind of even better. And this is very flexible, because either way, this will end up being a creature on your board again. Just kind of the only difference is like the time it becomes a creature again. And if need be, you can play it as a creature at any time. Unquenchable Fury for 2 generic and a red. It's an aura that gives the enchanted creature the text. Whenever this creature attacks, it deals X damage to defending player, where X is the number of cards in their hand. And when Unquenchable Fury is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, return it to your hand. So this either goes back to your hand or your opponent's hand, like if one of their creatures are enchanted with this. Spiteful Motives for 3 generic and a red. It's an aura that with flash that gives the enchanted creature +3/+0 and first strike. Prodigious Growth for 4 generic and double green. It's an aura that gives the enchanted creature +7/+7 and trample. If it proportions for 4 generic and double green, it's an aura with flash, and that gives the enchanted creature +5/+5 and trample. Classification is, well, has been a game-ending enchantment, especially in MTG Arena, if you haven't seen that. Which, by the way, about MTG Arena, go watch some of my content. It's pretty awesome, at least I think. So classification for 5 generic and double green. It's an aura that taps the enchanted creature when it enters the battlefield, but it gives the enchanted creature +20/+20. And this would be used to like in a Jund deck, a red, green, and black deck that would cheat this from the graveyard, I believe, and then use a fling to finish off the opponents by sacrificing the enchanted creature. Anyways, go watch my MTG Arena content and subscribe while you're at it. For a green, we have Rancor, which is an aura that gives the enchanted creature +2/+0 and trample, and it is returned and Rancor is returned to your hand when it is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, which is pretty nice. Ancestral Mask for 2 generic and green. It's an aura that gives the enchanted creature +2/+2 for each other enchantment on the battlefield. So if your opponent is playing an enchantress sort of deck, then this could be highly beneficial because you've got a big creature that's essentially on your side, well, while technically being on your opponent's side, that is pretty much going to definitely maul someone other than you. Either way, though, but because this is on your battle, and not because it's on your battlefield, but because it says for each other enchantment on the battlefield, that means like even if it's not on the enchantress player's side of the field, the enchanted creature, no, the enchanted creature is still getting a big buff. This is what I'm trying to say. So pretty good, especially on this deck. Rune of Might for 1 generic and a green. It's an aura rune, enchant permanent. So when this enters the battlefield, you draw a card. As long as enchanted permanent is a creature, it gets +1/+1 and is trample. Or if need be for some reason, as long as enchanted permanent is an equipment, it has equipped creature gets +1/+1 and has trample. So you could slide this rune onto one of your opponent's equipment if need be for some reason, so like negotiating with politics, or just like plain old, slide it onto one of their creatures to get them away from you. Still pretty good. Talons of Wildwood for 1 generic green. It's an aura that gives the enchanted creature +1/+1 and trample, and can return itself from your graveyard to your hand if you pay 2 generic and a green. Kenris Transformation. Annoying but suitable because it's not targeting our creatures. 1 generic and a green for an aura that draws us a card when it enters the battlefield and turns the enchanted creature into a green elf creature with base power and toughness 3/3, but that creature also loses all of its abilities. So if there are like abilities of a creature, like not a Seaborn Muse, well, I guess a Seaborn Muse, for example, then suddenly that Seaborn Muse is now a 3/3 green elf, or a Windborn Muse, which is way more annoying. Get that Windborn Muse out of the way, and suddenly one of your opponents may be a lot more vulnerable than what they just were. Noble Query. This could just end the game. Because for 2 generic and green, it's an enchanted creature unicorn with bestow 5 generic and a green. And all creatures able to block Noble Quarry or enchanted creature do so. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1. 1/1. So if one of your opponents has this enchanted onto their creatures, and like essentially their entire, let's say their entire board state is goaded because of Kaima, the Fractured Calm. This means whoever is defending might just die due to the fact that they'll be able to block only one of their creatures, and while the rest get through for what could possibly be lethal. And then we now kind of dip into synergies, but we're still into auras because this is elemental mastery we're talking about right here. 2 generic and a red for an aura that gives the enchanted creature's ability to create X 1/1 red elemental creature tokens with haste. Waxes this creature's path, and then exile them at the end of turn. Now, you probably won't be targeting your opponent's creatures with this, but rather your commander. So that way you, in a hurry, you can just create a big old board state and possibly block a lot of damage coming in. Because your commander most likely is going to be getting really big. Shishirio, I have no idea. The Shattered Blade for 2 generic red and green. It is a legendary snake samurai that states whenever an aura or equipment enters the battlefield under your control, creates a 2/2 red spirit creature token with menace 4/4. At the beginning of your end step, put a pulse counter on each modified creature you control. So modified creatures are creatures with auras and equipments attached to them, and also have or have pulse counters on them. Curse of Bloodletting for 3 generic and double red. It's an aura curse that doubles all damage dealt to enchanted player. So if there's like a thread at the table that needs to die, but everyone's also kind of looking at you funny, then you can just swing this onto the threat, and even if it doesn't convince your opponents to look away, they're gonna have to due to go. Iridescent Horn Beetle from 4 generic and green. It's an insect that can also create a board state in a hurry. Go watch my NTG Arena content to find that out. You'll know what I mean. 3/4. At the beginning of your end step, creates a 1/1 green insect creature token for each +1/+1 counter you put on creatures under your control this turn. Doubling Season for 4 generic and green. It's an enchantment that doubles the number of tokens would create under our control, and doubles the number of not counters, but counters in general put on permanents we control. If an effect would put counters on a permanent we control. Primeval Bounty for 5 generic and a green. Probably could use this in the last video, so if you want to replace one of those cards, do so. Because this is just these are all just guides. You don't have to follow these. You can just go with one of the cards, or none of the cards, or some of the cards. It's your choice, really. This is just to get you kind of pointed in a direction on how to build. Anyways, so Primeval Bounty for 5 generic and a green. It's an enchantment that states whenever you cast a creature spell, create a 3/3 green beast creature token. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put 3 plus counters on target creature you control, and whenever land enters battlefield under your control, you gain 3 life. So to make the commander of this deck even bigger, or the real commander, because this is all kind of like based on of the red-green 3-con upgrades unleashed. Boringplex, Monstrous Raider for 4 generic and double green. It is a legendary Phyrexian Predator with trample and haste, 6/6. If you would put so he dealt, I'll just say it short. If you would put any number of like counters on a permanent or player, you put twice as many of those counters on that permanent or player instead. And if an opponent would do the same, they put half as many counters on a permanent on permanents or players. Rounded down. So this is more beneficial towards you and less beneficial towards your opponents. Melanian Hydra for 3 generic and double green. It's a Hydra with trample 0/0. Also, probably should have put this in my previous commander guide. As an honorable mention, I guess. So this creature enters battlefield with 4 plus counters on it, and when Melanian Hydra attacks, you double the number of plus counters on each creature you control. Delta Primal Hunger, again, probably another honorable mention. 10 generic and double green for legendary Elder Dinosaur 12/12 with trample. And it costs X generic less to cast, where X is the total power of creature you control. Bane of Progress. If something goes awry, then this is a great kind of cleanup. For 4 generic and double green, it's an elemental that destroys all artifacts and enchantments when it enters battlefield, and then puts a plus power on itself for each permanent destroyed this way. 2/2. Destiny Spinner for 1 generic and a green. It's an enchantment creature human 2/3, and it makes all of your creature and enchantment spells uncounterable. And then for 3 generic and green, she can turn a land you control into an XX elemental creature with trample and haste until in turn works the number of enchantments you control. It's still land, which by the way, as you're enchanting your opponent's permanents, you control the enchantments, not the creature. Meaning that those enchantments are still technically on your battlefield. In case there's some confusion. Aura Gnarlid for 2 generic and a green. It's a beast who cannot be blocked by creatures with power less than its own. 2/2. And it gets +1/+1 for each aura on the battlefield. Sanctum Weaver for 1 generic and a green. It's an enchantment creature dryad. 0/2 that can tap to add X mana of any one color, where X is the number of enchantments you control. Enchantress's Presence for 2 generic and a green. It's an enchantment that draws you a card whenever you cast an enchantment spell. Citizen Champion for 2 generic and a green. Excuse me. It's Human Warrior Constellation 1/3. Whenever an enchantment is about to enter your control, put a +1/+1 counter on Citizen Champion and draw a card. Branching Evolution doubles the number of +1/+1 counters put onto creatures you control for 2 generic and a green. Obviously enchantments. Vengeful Ancestor for 2 generic and double red. It's a spirit dragon with flying 3/4. And when it enters battlefield or attacks, goad target creature. And whenever a goaded creature attacks, it deals 1 damage to its controller. So as you're goading creatures, it's also kind of becoming a ticking time bomb for like the people who are like forced to attack with their creatures, because Vengeful Ancestor is dealing 1 damage to your opponents for each creature they have that is goaded that attacks. If that makes sense. Warmonger Hellkite, another like sort of win condition for 4 generic and double red. It's a dragon with flying and forces all creatures to attack each combat if able. 5/5. 4 generic and a red. It can give attacking creatures +1/+1 until end turn. The reason why that's so important is that you can bump up all of your opponent's creatures and possibly kill the defending player. Or defending players, I should say. Lithiopform Engine for 4 generic. It's a legendary artifact that can copy target activated or triggered ability you control. You may choose your target's copy, and that is for the cost of 2 generic. And tapping this artifact, then this can also copy target instant or sorcery spell you control. You may choose your target's copy if you just pay 3 generic and tap this. Then for 4 generic, and if you tap this, you can copy target permanent spell you control. And by the way, the permanents will enter in as a token, the copy. Exclamation, because why not? Like I said, go watch my MTG Arena content. See how out of hand this thing can get. Because boy, it can get out of hand. For 4 generic and triple green, it's an enchantment creature elemental, one of my favorites. Trampling at 5/5. You tap a permanent for mana, produces 3 times as much of that mana instead. Now you kind of know why this is nuts. If you weren't able to read. Or just were too late. That's just to help us with mana. Fractal Harness for X, 2 generic and green. It's an equipment that when it enters battlefield, you create a 0/0 green and blue practical creature token, and then you put X ++ counters on it and attach Fractal Harness to it. And whenever a quick creature attacks, you double the number of ++ counters on it. The quick cost of 2 generic. Xenagos, God of Revels, for 2 generic, a red and a green. He is a legendary enchantment creature, God, indestructible, 6/5. As long as your devotion to red and green is less than 7, this guy isn't a creature. So your devotion to like a color is based off the number of mana symbols of that color and permanent to control. So say we had Xenagos and Nyx Bloom Ancient out.
So a devotion to green in that case would be 4. Another devotion to red would be still 1. So that would only be a total devotion to those colors, both of those colors, of 5. So two devotion too short, and this guy would not be a creature. But if we added Warmonger Hellkite, that would end up being 3 to red devotion and 4 green devotion, making a total of 7 devotion. The amount of devotion needed to make Xenagos a creature. Make sense? Right. Beginning of combat on your turn, another target creature you control gains haste and gets +X/+X until end turn versus that creature's power. Pathbreaker Ibex, so another potential game ender for 4 generic and no green. It's a goat 3/3 that when it attacks, it gives all of your creatures trample and +X/+X until end turn, where it is the greatest power among creatures you control. So just stampede in and possibly end it. Or if you can't really afford to attack via whether that it's because of Windborn Muse or like some other means, then you can use Fling here to potentially end the game as well. Because for 1 generic and a red, it's an instant that as an additional cost to cast, you must sacrifice a creature. And then Fling deals damage equal to the sacrifice creature's power to any target. And that means shred your opponent's face. The Ozolith. So 1 generic is a legendary artifact that states whenever a creature you control leaves the battlefield, if it had counters on it, put those counters on the Ozolith. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if the Ozolith has counters on it, you may move all counters from the Ozolith onto target creature. Which I want to know something for Iridescent Hornbeetle. Would this count as putting counters onto another creature? If so, let me know. If so, or if not, either way, let me know in the comments, please. One of you geniuses out there, or judges, I guess. But either way, this thing's primary function is to guarantee that we don't really lose our commander in a way. Like we get to keep its counters, which is pretty important, instead of like being set back. You know what I mean? Soul's Fire for 2 generic and a red. So essentially you pay 1 more to do a flank, except you also don't sacrifice the creature. And the creature itself deals damage to any target, which is an important note because if that creature has lifelink, then you're also gaining that much life. Momentous Fall. Speaking of gaining life, for 2 generic and no green, it's an instant that allows you to do that if you sacrifice a creature. And then you draw cards equal to the sacrifice creature's power, and then you gain life equal to its toughness. Stonehoof Chieftain for 7 generic and a green. It's a centaur warrior with trample and indestructible, 8/8, and it gives creatures you control trample and indestructible whenever they attack. So one of them attacks, they get trample and indestructible until end turn. All of them attack, they all get trample and indestructible until end turn. Simple as that. Old Gnawbone, pretty good commander. In fact, I believe I did a video on him. If I haven't and you want to see him, even though I'm pretty sure I already have, or if you want to see another commander, whether it's custom or legit, like this guy, then type it down in the comments below by being the first one to comment on this video. And even if you aren't the first, don't be discouraged. I like feedback, so comment anyways. As long as and also be sure I can find the commander. Otherwise, no can do. But anyways, for 5 generic and double green, it's a legendary dragon with flying 7/7. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, create that many treasure tokens. Since your opponents most likely, if they're not playing like army stuff, will be like tapped out with when it comes to creatures. I mean, they can still counter with like settle the wreckage or like sending stuff to your hand, which is annoying. Don't even do that. It's not in the spirit of commander, although it is. Anyways, but if they're like unable to do anything, well then, what's really stopping you? Swing in and then get a bunch of treasures. Forgotten Ancient for 3 generic and a green. It's an elemental that gets a +++ counter whenever a player casts a spell. 03. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may move any number of ++ counters from Forgotten Ancient onto other creatures. It doesn't have to be your creatures, meaning this can be your opponent's creatures, meaning that you can power up your opponent's creatures, and when they're forced to attack, it could be possibly lethal. And then finally, for our 50th card, we have Silvalla, Heart of the Wilds, for 1 generic and double green. Probably another card that could have been used in the previous commander. Like I said, go check that out. Legendary. She is a legendary elf scout. 2/3. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield, its controller may draw a card if its power is greater than each other creature's power. And then for a green, she can tap to add X mana in any combination of colors to your mana pool, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. And that could be a lot. Mossfort Bridge, land, hideaway, you know the deal, but I'll explain it anyways. Enters battlefield tapped. When it does, you look at the top 4, you exile 1 face down, and then you put the rest on the bottom of the library. This land here can tap for a green, or for green, it can tap, and you may play the exile card without paying its mana cost if creatures you control have total power 10 or greater, which won't be a problem. Spine Rock Roll, land, hideaway, same thing. Taps for a red, or for red, it can tap, and you may play the exile card without paying its mana cost. The opponent was dealt 7 more damage this turn, which, if that card just odds flash, which few of these cards do, then this could possibly be like at any time. But you're red, so this will most likely still be happening on your turn, maybe. It's going to happen either way. Myriad Landscape, you know the deal. It's a land there, it's tapped, can tap for a cost, choose your can tap, sacrifice, crack itself, tutor your library for up to 2 basic lands, or search. That's your land type. Put them onto battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library. Blighted Woodland, land that taps for a color, or for 3 generic green. It can tap to crack itself and tutor your library for up to 2 basic land cards. Put them onto battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library. And then you've got 23 forests and your 23 basic mountains. And with all of that, the end of this commander guide starring Kaima, the Fractured Calm. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please subscribe, guys. We just, like I said earlier in the video, we just got like another subscriber recently, in fact, like yesterday. Thank you to whoever that was. I don't remember your name exactly, but 3 away from 20 subs and possibly 20 sub special, which, and also I want you guys to kind of influence on that, because I kind of don't know where to go with that other than like custom creatures. But I like to see if you guys have some ideas. Let me know, please, because that could be coming up real soon, and I want to be prepared. But I encourage you to subscribe anyways, since we're so close. Thank you for all of the people who have been subscribed up to this point, and all of those who are thinking about subscribe so that you can be thanked too. Also, don't forget comments, and if you're the first one, you can comment like if you want to see like what the next, you can kind of control like what the next commander guide is, whether it's like custom or legit, as long as I can find it. Just be the first one to comment. But I like feedback anyway, so even if you aren't the first, comment anyways, because I like feedback. I like to see like what you guys think about my videos. Haven't been getting much, kind of miss it. Don't forget to hit the notification bell, that way you don't miss another one of my videos. Go watch my other videos that I have done before this, share them with others you may or may not know of, and don't forget to leave a like. And I think that's it. Yeah. All right. Oh, and something I've forgotten. Go, gotta spread.